listening to the Los Rotos Podcast with Vanessa Scaduto. Produced by Upside Down Creative Media.
Welcome to Los Rotos Podcast again, guys. I'm Vanessa Scaduto, and today I have Ted Brown with me. What's up, Ted?
Hey, Vanessa, how's it going?
It's going, man. How you been, though, overall?
I'm doing okay in that I've been recently taking legal ketamine sent to me through the mail through a company called Mind Bloom.
Nice.
My mind has been blooming the last month, which has helped with my elderly dog who is currently dying.
Oh, man. So did they confirm with what's going on with Ace? Ace, by the way, is his puppers.
They could not confirm what was going on because after $2,000 worth of tests, they decided they needed more tests, which would cost thousands of dollars and could be inconclusive or potentially kill him.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I decided to just give him some medicine to kind of extend him out a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's getting to a point where it's like getting pretty close, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Ted. That's a bummer, man.
That's okay. I didn't mean to bring it down immediately,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty good at. But that is on my mind, so, you know.
Yeah, no. But I'm also curious about this, like, in the mail ketamine, because, like, that... Like, how do you get that? Like, how is that? I know that you have to go to therapy probably. Like, they do those therapies, right?
Yeah. It's a part of the absurdity of, like, this stage of capitalism, essentially, where combined with, like, the pandemic, the acceleration of telemedicine, and ketamine's, like, kind of legal gray area. It's legal to just send it if you have, like, a licensed like psychiatrist prescribing it to you. So they have, like, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of, like, you know, essentially, like, gig economy psychiatrists that will prescribe it to you by talking to you over Zoom.
Oh, really?
And then they send you, like, it's called a Bloom box. It's branded. It's like, my friend compared it to the Inception device, you know, from the movie Inception.
Well, you need to share with me how I get this box.
I believe it's mindbloom.com.
Mindbloom.com. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a sponsorship.
No, they would love me to sponsor them, but I will not. In fact, on the Quick Start guide,
I would. So
yeah.
Mind Bloom, Ted may not, but I would if
Yes.
you want. If it's legal doses of ketamine for the purpose of helping you deal with your depression and anxiety
Yes.
and everything, I totally would promote something like that because,
well, I mean,
just like psychedelics, like when it comes to psilocybin and stuff.
I'm not trying to fully knock it. I just kind of find the way they're commodifying it kind of scary.
Yeah. Well, that's actually the excuse right now when it comes to psilocybin. You know, they want to legalize it for therapy use, but then that's when the corporations gets their hands on it. And also, like, how do you patent a mushroom? You know, a fungi that's existed in, you know, all of...
That's why they'll work on, like, some kind of, like, analog drug so they can patent it and say this is the way that you do it.
Exactly.
And the idea of, like, commercials for mushrooms terrifies me. You know what I mean? Or just, like, utilizing the trip experience to market towards you, you know? It's like a Taco Bell commercial, like, hey, you're high, right? Fourth meal.
Right. But I mean, we already know that there's scientific proven stuff out there that ketamine can help in the right amount of doses and the right, you know, in the right usage of what your goal is.
Absolutely. And I did it once before 2 years ago at a local clinic, which it helped, but also, like, it was very, like, literally clinical. The setting, like, the trip room was terrible. So, like, I didn't really feel comfortable while I was, like...
Oh, they didn't have, like, a nice, quiet, like a more therapy spa
I mean, it was a room, and it was quiet, but, like, it was so... Sterile that, like, they didn't even attempt to, like, make it comfortable for a person that's literally tripping on drugs.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, that sounds like they definitely didn't do a follow-through and, like, the whole... I
used to do a joke about it where it was, like, they have a nurse that's watching you, and at one point, they have you attached to an EKG and started to chirp, and then she walked over to it and silenced it and turned towards me and said, oh, shit, I thought you were dead. It's like the last thing you want to say to a person that's tripping.
I remember that joke very well, Ted. It was very... I'm sorry, I'm laughing at your trauma, but...
No, it's okay. That's why I do it.
But she definitely should not be a nurse for people on drugs. Like, that's
Probably
really not something you say, oh my God, I thought you were dead.
Yeah, I think she
You're
was
like,
trying
me too, bitch. I want a bunch of ketamine.
She was trying to joke with me, but again, like, I'm on ketamine right now. Please don't make that joke.
Right. Okay. So she thought she was
But again, I was on ketamine, so who's to say what she was really thinking or feeling?
Right. You're like, she has to be joking, right? Because what dumb bitch would say that to me?
That's correct. Yeah, I didn't say it, but yeah, that's what I was feeling.
You were thinking probably. But Ted, tell us more about you though. Like, usually, like, when I ask the comics to come on, you know, I ask them like how long you've been doing comedy, what made you get into comedy. You know, most of us have traumas of some sort, but
Yeah. I think I've been doing comedy cumulatively for 3 years. I had like a gap for a year with the pandemic, but I think about 3 years total.
we're not going to count that gap.
Sure, yeah. And I started doing it because I was looking for a creative outlet. I was getting frustrated with myself just going out to bars and not really doing anything else after work.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to find a way to communicate to people how I see the world while making them laugh, you know? Because I figured out as an adult that I was funny, but the thought of going on stage terrified me too much to ever really attempt it when I was younger.
Oh, really? I didn't know you get. So do you still get anxious though? Because I get anxious still sometimes. Certain mics, I'm still.
Yeah. I mean, I have anxiety in general,
Right.
I think, but I don't like attention necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't like being the center of attention. So that's part of why I did it too, was to try to get over the fear. But I still get it. And especially if my mind goes blank when I'm trying to do a pre-written set, I get frustrated with myself because I can't think of the next line. It kind of ruins it. But then people find that funny too, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, half the time they don't know, right? Like they don't really
Right.
know because you could play it off like that. That was an
Yeah.
intentional short.
Yeah, they
You
don't
know,
think I'm
just
Andy
pause
Kaufman,
or-
so like
yeah.
they just think it's part of the set at all times.
Right.
But
Which, by the way, I do want to mention your show. You know, we had the Relatables on. You know, Dean and Zach,
Yeah.
You know, every second he got, he promoted their podcast.
Oh yes.
And I'm doing it
Yes.
now for them. And
Yeah.
so, but I want to talk about My Life is a TV series. You have this on what, YouTube and
It's airing on internet indefinitely, but specifically YouTube, and it's called My Show, Also My Life. And essentially what I'm commenting on is like how everyone's lives are now TV series because of the internet and social media, and how increasingly we can't be present anymore because we're constantly thinking of the future and in terms of like what we're going to present to people, you know, right now.
right, which is 100% accurate.
Yeah, and it's like by doing it, it makes me feel like a lunatic when I'm like editing a full episode because I'm staring at myself repeatedly and like my past, and it's just like a really weird headspace to be in. But at least I'm being self-aware about it and,
Right.
and have like a layer of irony. But then I imagine people who don't, like most of YouTube, and it's like terrifying to me.
Right. Well, that's what's scary to me, right? Like, is this thought that I guess, you know, like even when I started this podcast, some people were like really hyped for me, and I thought that was so nice of them. Like, they seem more excited than I was, you know, about it.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to stay grounded. It's like I appreciate what we're doing here, and I get to have conversations with you guys that we normally do anyways, but where we record them and we laugh about them. But I just want to be present and enjoy the moment versus like, all right, how do we promo this next? How do we
Right.
like, you know?
Yeah, I've had people. There's a guy who works at one of the Rain Dogs. He likes to promote me sometimes in person because he likes my show, and he's like, "Hey, be talking to somebody. Hey, Ted, you got a card?" And I'll have me hand the card to the person. And a few months ago, after that was explaining to the guy about my show, and he was like, basically like, "Yeah, man, but why don't you show the positives too?" And what that reduced down to was, "Hey, man, why don't you promote me and my friends?" So he wasn't even getting what I was doing. You know, because the whole point is like how everything's about self-promotion now. And so like, how can I show the positives when what you're saying is the negative I'm talking about?
Right. You're actually you're just proving my point.
Exactly.
Basically, you're just proving my point. Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird because we do live in some weird duality where like you want to promote your friends, but like you want people to go see them. But like to what extent? Like at what point can you just be present and be enjoying what you're doing and be in the moment of it?
I don't know. It's becoming challenging to do so. And again, because of the internet, pandemic, and car culture, like community doesn't really exist anymore. Which is another reason why I do stand up, because like at least I can have conversations with people over time that I actually know.
Right.
But I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of like when or why I started the show, which was like a bit I was doing on stage.
Yeah, I feel like you started it. I feel like you started a year ago. Or something.
Well, no, the full show was
Oh.
about a year and a half ago, but I was
Okay.
doing it on Instagram for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And like that bit was like more shortened and
Right.
more about
You
like,
would drive around. I remember that. You would do your little driving around stuff,
yeah, well, like
which was funny. But I mean, I still find that all hilarious, all that stuff.
I want to expand on that.
Yeah.
With my stuff, but my first episode was like episode 6 of season 1. And like all it was like an animated selfie, where I'm in my car, my hair is long. Well, time to get my hair cut. Time to get season 1, episode 6 of my show. Also, my life started, and then like I go down the highway, it's hallucinogenic montage, and then now I'm in the car again. Now my hair's short. Well, successfully completed haircut.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah,
and then I just kept going with that.
That was. I thought when you started doing that, it was pretty funny because I had something I started. I should have continued it like you did, where I would say, it was something like the faces of despair, but it was all like pictures of friends smiling, and some of my friends were like, "What's wrong with you?" Because like I would put this caption, and I'm like, it's pretty funny. Like we're all struggling, but we're all just smiling, and we're acting like this is not everybody's the same. Like we're not all dealing with the same shit.
Yeah, I mean, again, part of social media is like how everyone's performing at all times about look how good my life is, look how well I'm doing, and it's not true because it's not true for you. Right,
like I'm visiting my friend Mac right now because I'm pretty sure my boyfriend cheated on me, but we're smiling at a Knights game.
Yes,
it's like,
that's right.
If I wish I could look back at the date, I would say it was even before I left to California. So like 2016 is when I started. Like saying those hashtags, because I also thought hashtags were hilarious. Like I don't know why we didn't make more use of them instead of promoting. Like to me, I used to use them as funny. I would just make up shit.
Yeah.
And just see who would read what they were.
Yeah.
Not because I was actually trying to get people to like follow.
No,
me.
I understand.
Yeah.
I like to tag brands sometimes to pretend like they're my sponsors. Just in the off chance they'll actually like respond, and I'm like, fuck you. You're not my sponsor.
I never even thought to do that, Ted. That's so funny though.
It's fun. I don't get them to talk to me. The last time it happened, I print out my business cards for my show, and I tagged Vistaprint, and those idiots like immediately responded, "Hey, when you get them in the mail, be sure to take a picture and tag us." I'm like, "Fuck you! You don't get the bit. This is the opposite of the bit. You're not actually my sponsor. I paid you. Give me my fucking card. Stop responding to my posts."
Oh God, Ted, I love it though. No, that's just hilarious though. But it's true that we're living in some weird parallel. Well, of course we have a way to get people to promote us, which is like a commodity right now.
Yes.
Like we're a commodity.
You're
basically.
a brand. I'm a brand.
Right.
Everyone in this room is a brand.
Right. We're all brands.
Yeah. That's right.
What's scary is it's true.
Yeah.
And that's the terrifying thing is like taking that ownership and realizing like, oh yeah, I could like make money off myself in a way that.
Yes, but you have to basically become like a psychopath. The bigger it becomes, like where you're like a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer, and like not only do you have like direct plugs you have to do, but you have your own like merchandise you're always plugging, or like if you get really big, you have like training courses. It's all bullshit, of course.
Right.
But it's all part about getting more and more money from your audience.
So here's the thing about those training courses. I found out that you actually make more money doing that than even your YouTube videos.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
They make like a ridiculous amount. Or if they have those free downloadable books on Amazon, it like because it's all about linking them back to that creator stuff or whatever, like so that they can make a shit ton of money. I don't blame them for selling their own merch either, especially if it's something they personally design. But a lot of those YouTube people I noticed, they don't design their own stuff even.
No.
And some of it's garbage. Like I've seen like really horrible designs and I'm like, who told you to put this up for sale? Who's buying it?
Yeah, I saw this like, I think it was on Instagram. It's like one of those like Instagram, I think couples where they make like, meme funny videos, but they're not actually funny, but they appeal to a wide audience. And like one of them the whole point of it was to sell their t-shirts, where it basically just said something like, "This shirt sucks," haha, get it? You know what I mean? But you're still just doing it to sell the shirts.
Right, exactly.
There's no irony here. You're just like being an asshole and saying, "I want to exist so I can sell these stupid t-shirts."
Right. Well, I made a shirt personally. I designed even the font, and I don't think people realize like I drew it out, everything. But it was for satire. It says Alex Jones's daddy.
Yeah.
And it was based off of Channel 5 has a video where these, white broads are just saying stuff about. So I just thought it was funny. And they said Alex Jones's daddy. And I thought that was hilarious. But I also know there's actually people in the world who probably do believe that and would wear that shirt. But I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And I put in like a metal font, like a heavy metal font.
Right.
But I did try to sell that shirt. Nobody bought it. But every time Chance wears the shirts, they compliment him and ask him where they get it from.
Yeah, that's like I was gifted this vintage shirt like 2.5 years ago that it was like a couple that sold vintage clothes, and they gave me the shirt. And when he gave it to me, the male in the couple said, "Oh yeah, I really wanted to wear that shirt, but then I realized it was culturally appropriative." And he was right. Like there was like little repeating symbols of like Aztec dark skinned tribesmen with shields.
Weird.
And so I can't wear that shirt. It's too spicy for my skin tone, you know. But I kept it, and like last year I realized I could order some patches wholesale from China and patch over each offending symbol.
Okay.
And then now I won't be the main character on Twitter for a day if I was caught by wearing it. Now when I walk into like any place wearing that shirt, compliments. It's like a machine gun fire of compliments. It's absurd. And then when I try to explain it to them, they don't really get it because like it's kind of hard to explain in the moment.
Right.
But I kept like under the right breast pocket, there's like a
One
symbol
left.
Yeah, so like there it is. I could be an asshole, but I'm not.
I love it. It does suck, right? Because that was originally a Native American symbol.
Yeah.
And then of course the Nazis had to ruin it, and neo-Nazis had to ruin it. White people had to ruin it, like most things. Like,
yeah, they're pretty good at that.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Yeah, and I'm fine not wearing a shirt like that, but the fact that I was able to find a way to wear it, I'm happy with.
That's great, though.
But yeah, I find the level of compliments a little insane.
Really?
Because basically it's my shirt now.
Right.
It's my design.
Right.
So they're saying I could be a clothing designer if I wanted to.
You could.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? I think what's happening nowadays is like I think people are way more talented than they give themselves credit, and it's the non-talented people though that are on camera. Yeah. Like it's crazy to me because when I tell people like some of the things I can do or whatever, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that. But it's like nobody really asks people questions anymore about themselves. But also, I'm not one to like brag about certain things. So unless it comes up in conversation, maybe I'll bring it up. But I think though the generations I've seen after my generation, your generation even, they're braggers. Like they're braggarts. Like they want to put everything out there.
You got to hustle at all times. Hustle culture.
I mean, but I'm also Latin and Sicilian. Like we're taught to hustle, but just in different ways, I guess. We just didn't have a platform,
Yeah, I think it's just like increasingly in America, the only industry is entertainment.
Right.
So you have to find a way to entertain people to get paid for it. Otherwise, you're working at McDonald's, which people have to do, but they don't make enough money to survive. So.
Yeah, that's another issue, right? So oh God, I don't want to go down that political route, man. I really don't. Like I've become so apathetic now to politics in a way. I just feel like it's just a bunch of bullshit, in my opinion now.
I mean, I've gotten farther down that line. Basically we live in an oligarchy.
Mm-hmm. And for sure. We have
voting doesn't really do anything. Both political parties are essentially right wing in terms of economics. And so what are you going to do,
I don't necessarily agree with that in the sense I think they're both evil. They both have their agenda. I do think in some ways they work together to look like they don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're both capitalists who only exist to funnel money to the top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways of, like, I would say, like, I'm trying to think of a good country like Finland. They've figured out how to make their people happy, give them access to everything.
Yeah, they're a social democracy.
Yeah, exactly.
And they figured out that we know people are happier there on average
when they're free, though. Like free to do anything, because everything's legal there, like crack, whatever. They don't penalize people for being addicts. They help take care of them. They say, "Do you want therapy? Do you want rehab?" Like
there's too much money to be made within the prison system.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's
like literally slavery still exists in this country. Like,
right.
There are black people picking cotton in fields in Louisiana.
Right, and they're prisoners.
They're prisoners,
and probably a private prison.
Even more horrifying.
Right. Exactly.
I saw a video online where it was like a private prison auction. And they were talking about like having plenty of like stock or products,
right?
Meaning people,
right?
To be there forever.
It's disgusting, dude. Yeah. I don't even really want to go down there. But let's talk more about you, though, Ted. Let's talk more about you. You're like, no, but we were talking about something else, and that makes me happier.
No, it's okay. I'm only going to talk about myself for this period of time.
But I really like what you're doing with your show, though. Because I don't know. I find it hilarious when you get on stage, and I like when you whip out your Oculus and the crowd doesn't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
especially if they've never seen you, they're just like, what is going on? But I think they start relating to what you say.
I mean, hopefully. I did bring it with me.
I was hoping.
Let me retrieve it from my bag. Yeah, I bought this to self-harm about 3 months ago. Because, like, part of my fear of the future is that they're going to make it so we can never turn the screens off again. You know, if it's not VR, it's like augmented reality. There's always a layer on top.
Yeah, I mean, Elon's getting that chip ready for us, so.
I'm glad that he's just like generally incompetent, so I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. But the Oculus, like, it's fun to put on because, like, when you put it on without playing a game, you see the world in like a pixelated black and white. So that's why I can do it on stage. I can see you right now.
Right.
And then, like, I can do different bits. Like what I did last month for my season finale. Sorry, it's kind of discombobulating.
No, that's okay.
But for my season finale, I did a bit called Stand-Up Comedy Simulator, where I put it on, walked from the outside back to the stage, and started like doing, like, you know, basic premises, like, you know, something's happening on the way here, dating's weird, right? That kind of stuff. And then from that, I went to like other jokes of like saying something that's either a lie or a truth, and hoping they know which one's sarcastic, which one's not. And then I just like walk off stage and just like walk around the room and start handing them business cards, you know, which is one of my favorite bits is for my show. I like to go on stage, set up all the cameras, and then once I do the full bit, and I just walk in the audience, start handing them business cards. You know, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. And my favorite is when it's always a woman where they say, no thanks. It's like, just, I'm doing a bit.
Yeah, just take it, bitch.
Take the fucking card. It's called yes and, you know. Like, what are you doing? I'm not hitting on you. This is just a fucking bit I'm doing. And it's always funny when they do that. But, you know, the first time it happened, I'm like, really? You're saying no? Just take the card. But anyway.
Yeah, right. Just be part of the bit.
Yeah. But I guess, like, part of the problem is, like, with the kind of satire I do, like, some people are just doing it, you know, without any irony at all. And so there's one night where, like, a guy handed me his card after I handed him my card, and like his was like my bit without the irony, you know? So that's always really uncomfortable. There's also like 6 months ago at Rain Dogs, I was doing my impression of everyone who makes content for social media, where I hold up two cameras and, like, you know, talk back and forth saying, I'm talking to myself.
Right. That one I like too. That's the good one.
This man in the audience came up to me afterwards. Like, he really liked it. He was repeating the lines back to me. And then he let me know the entire time he was recording the set on some kind of like live streaming app where I was competing with another person, another open mic somewhere else. Like, and people were voting for which person liked better. And I won, which means that he won $1.
What the wait, what? Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let's so there is an app where you can post people's bits while they're performing.
Yeah. I wish I had remembered to ask him what it was called, because I tried to find it and I couldn't.
Also, like, that should be illegal for them to film our set and use it for money,
right.
When really.
But that's the reality we live in. So, like, there's nothing you can really do about it. You can ask them not to do that, you know.
Right.
But it's just it's so absurd to me that I'm doing a bit, calling attention and against that, and he's just doing it as he's also saying he likes my bit. I don't understand how that computes.
Well, let me ask you this, Ted. I have a feeling you're a guy who knows what your IQ is. Do you know what your IQ is?
No.
You don't?
No.
I'm pretty sure you're above 140, man. I believe you could be part of Mensa.
I think people think I'm smarter than I actually am, but I also hate myself. So.
Yeah. You definitely hate yourself, but like, you're smarter than what you think you are. I think, because like I remember, actually, speaking of Mensa, I was in this is about a decade ago. I was in a thrift store looking at vinyl records, and this dude with you know, like aviators on, but they had the yellow film, like yellow lenses in. Yeah. Old dude, only hair on the sides, so no hair on top. But he walks up and he's like, what? He started asking me questions about vinyl records, and I'm like, well, I'm looking for the mono ones, and looking to see if I can find some Motown ones in stereo, because they didn't really make them in the beginning in stereo, because, you know, fuck black people, you know, like back then, so they just didn't put them on the radio as much.
Right.
So he goes, do you ever think about joining a club? And I said, a club? And he pulls this card out and he hands it to me, And guys, it was a Mensa card.
Mensa, yeah.
And I was like, so I went later in the evening. I told my friend Andy and another couple of people we were hanging out with. I was like, yo, this dude gave me his Mensa card. And the guy, my friend Andy, started laughing. And the guy next to him, he goes, have you gotten laid within the last year? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you can't be in Mensa. And I was like,
that's funny. Got him. Got those eggheads.
Yeah, but my IQ is above 140. Like, I've taken tests on it and stuff. But I do think, like, that's why certain jokes of certain people's, like, Dean and Zach, they'll say some jokes and then they're like, all right, that's a thinker or something like that. And I don't think it's necessarily a thinker. I just think some people are stupid in the audience. Your intelligence this is why I like comics, because they're usually smart people. Like, they're funny, witty people because they have knowledge of stuff.
They like to fall back on the excuse, well, I'm just an idiot. It's like, oh, please.
Yeah.
Like, because typically, when they laugh at the jokes, you hear their laugh often enough. I'm not talking about myself.
Right.
You listen to them in the audience just enough. Like, well, if you get that joke, come on.
Like, you should have gotten the other ones.
But I mean, also, like, I'm kind of cynical about IQ. I don't think it necessarily means anything.
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying, like, it depends on what test you're taking too, right? Because IQ is not basically. It's about deducing things, right?
Yeah. But it's also like it's trying to like find a way to record like human intelligence essentially, which is basically impossible.
Right.
And also, like, I don't really know enough about the history of it, but I think it was like some kind of like French test that's probably like looped in with eugenics or something like that.
The Mensa stuff?
No, like IQ, I mean.
Oh, yeah, no, but Mensa has their own tests. So they don't necessarily use like I think you can go online and probably take an IQ test that is probably based off of that old one you're talking about, like the SAT stuff. Like, all that's racially motivated and everything.
Yeah, I guess, like, basically I'm just saying it's impossible to measure intelligence based on a number. And so, like, I'm not saying it's completely pointless or useless, but I don't really care to know my IQ,
Yeah. For some reason, I thought, though, at some point somebody would have made you get a test, like a parent or somebody. Or
if it happened, they never told me.
Okay.
It would have been, like, before middle school, but I really don't know.
Yeah, when I was in elementary school, they made me take the test because they used to put kids in gifted schools. Like, they weren't just gifted classes. Like, you would have to leave your school, go to another school,
we had
and
those.
Specialize.
Yeah. I think I have a memory of, like, I purposely bombed that test because I didn't want to be a freak, That was my thought process at the time.
Well, mine was for music, so I wanted to go to the other school. If I could spend hours just playing music all day versus dealing,
I should have done it, but then my home life was already terrible enough that it wouldn't really help that much because my grades plummeted in high school,
Oh, yeah.
I barely passed 10th grade classes just because, like, things got pretty bad at home. But
you just didn't give a shit at that point. You were just dealing with
you were in the zone of being a teenager.
Did your parents even pay attention that was happening to you?
Well, they were going through a divorce, and they're both working full time, and I was getting fatter and fatter because I was morbidly obese by 18, and so I basically just like retreated online when I was a teenager. Like, house was very noisy at all times, so I would stay up late,
right, so
be online all day, but then I would be tired the next day.
Right. Sounds like a horrible situation.
Wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, I think that there's some positives to suffering, essentially.
Yeah.
It helps give you perspective and probably grow. I'm not saying it's like ideal, but.
Right. No, I mean, well, my parents, my parents officially didn't get a divorce till I was like, I think past 18.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But they split by the time I was like 10, 11. So, like, we went through this dragged out divorce of 9 years. My mom lying, saying I was incompetent and that the courts should give her custody of me till I was 21.
Damn.
I know. My mom tried to do that shit. My mom.
Make you a prisoner.
Yeah. Well, she just wanted to get paid money from my dad.
Makes
she
sense.
wanted him to pay her money. It was all.
Yeah.
And my dad showed me the court documents, and to this day, she still denies it. I'm like, I saw the documents. They were notarized. Like, I saw them. They had the court stamp and seal on them, you dummy. Like, she'll always deny it to this day. But yeah, no, divorce sucks. And then when you're a kid going through high school and dealing with all that other shit on top of it.
Yeah. My parents were similar, like a few years, or like where they're separated but not fully divorced.
Right.
And there's a period of time where, like, I think my mom's parents nagged her about how you shouldn't get divorced, and so she tried to make it work again, which just made everything worse.
Right.
And then once they finally got divorced, things actually got worse anyway. So it took a while, but by the end of high school, I had a car and a job and like a good circle of friends, so I was doing better. But then I had to move back to Florida.
So let me ask you, do you think comedy helped you a lot too, though? Like getting it, like, do you feel like it's helped? Wow, that's a hard one, right? Because I know that sometimes comedy is a pain in the ass, but do you feel like it's helped you in some ways?
Fear of attention, yes.
Socializing,
I don't know.
I know there's some of us who don't like them,
through
sure.
my 20s, you know, and living in other places, like I got better at socializing. But, you know, once I got to like 30 and I moved back here, it was like the bar scene's kind of boring when it's all you're doing. And so that's kind of what I was going to Rain Dogs with my friends. And I was like, oh, there's open mic here. And I don't know what exactly triggered me, but it's like, oh, I'll give it a shot, you know. And sometimes I think it helps. Sometimes I hate it. I don't know why I'm doing it.
I mean, it's funny because in the last few years, I feel like I have more comic friends now that I'm way closer to than even my friends I've known longer, because there's a community, I guess, of like an understanding. Also, we can say almost anything to each other, and I don't feel it's ever taken out of context. They always know that there's a joke, even if it's a bad one. It's meant for humorous stuff. It's not meant to actually be one way or the other. Like I hung out with some of my old friends recently, and I love them to death. But there came a time where I was like, "Hey, you know how I tell jokes, right? Like this was a joke."
Yeah.
And I was like, I obviously don't believe that. This is sarcasm. And
oh yeah,
like,
no, I get that, but also on the other end of that, it drives me crazy sometimes when I'm hanging out with a lot of comics and they're all just like, you know, bam, 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 bam. Like a lot of times it's hard to have like an actual conversation in those moments, or they're literally doing their material to you. Like sometimes I'll be talking to them before a show and like, oh, we're having a conversation, and like 30 minutes later they're on stage doing the same exact thing they were saying to me.
Yes. So that happens a lot to me.
Yeah.
A lot. And I don't want to even say names because it happens in particular with...
Not naming names. I'm just saying it's a general thing that happens.
Well, no. In particular, certain people specifically do it. But I guess personally, I don't take it personal. But I guess if you thought you were having like some moment of...
I don't take it personally. It just annoys me. You know, it's like I'm already going to see your set. Now I'm seeing it twice.
And you're probably going to see it again for the next few weeks because they're repeating this joke over and over.
I mean, if you tell me I'm doing this bit for you, that's another thing.
Right.
But I guess I just like autistically like honesty in conversations. So
yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, I guess I just go, oh, I didn't know they were like working me. Like they were trying to see where they would get the laugh from me or whatever.
Or it's like, hey, don't make me sit here and not laugh at your joke. Let me sink into the audience and just be one not laugh. You know what I mean? They're putting me on the spot, which I don't like.
Like now you have to laugh because
exactly. Yeah. So they're not going to get an honest response anyway. So like, why even bother?
My life is a TV series. Tune in.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, it's true though. I totally get that. Like this one, I forgot who it was. One of the nights, some kid was gonna tell somebody else something. I said, stop, please. Like I'm not telling my bit right now. I'm gonna tell it on.
Right.
Like don't repeat my stuff because I'm gonna repeat it. Like I want it to be fresh. Like I want an honest response. You know. So it's like I don't mind telling a friend. Like I'll tell like the premise, but I'm not going to tell them the whole joke.
And I mean, I know that by doing this, like you're going to do it sometimes anyway, like you're not intentionally doing it. Try to keep that in mind. But there are some people who it's every time. It's like, I've never actually talked to you before.
Well, and the reason why I like talking to comics too is I get ideas from talking to them. Sometimes I forget about shit that I'm like, oh, that is funny. Sure. Like, because I know I can say anything to them, and I say something, and they're like, why don't you talk about that? And I was like, that's a good point. Yeah, why don't I talk about that? I could make this funny. Oh, and then I mine it, and then you get all these other layers, you know? But just a part of conversation in general, and being around other people, it helps. Because otherwise you're just like alone at all times, and like whole part of existing is connecting with other people. So yeah, I agree. Speaking of connecting, I know I told you we were going to talk about this, but you didn't give me your full, because I didn't want the full thing. I wanted it on here. So do you believe in paranormal stuff? And let me do a little caveat to that. When I say paranormal, I mean this includes anything from ghosts to aliens. So you could believe, aliens, but not ghosts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something like that. So, and if so, do you have any experiences?
Basically, no. I would say with aliens, I think it's unlikely that humans are the only like existing conscious group in the universe. But what that actually means, I don't really know. And I think most like sightings or whatever experiences have explanations that aren't really like, intergalactic beings or something like that.
Wait, you said what though? Sorry, go back. You said that most civilizations don't have?
No,
or do have?
most people on Earth who have experiences with aliens or sightings or whatever, I think there's explanations that are very mundane.
Oh, okay.
But I don't pretend to know exactly what's out there, but at the same time, I don't really spend much time thinking about, like whatever the theory online is for like the specific alien species that supposedly exists.
Yeah, well, there's so many theories, and there's probably multiple species. I mean, like if we're going off of just science, and if there is a species of some sort that exists outside, there's probably multiple. It's not just one species.
Probably, but it's also like the distance is so vast, including like the time it takes to travel, that it becomes increasingly unlikely. Like, let's say there's a alien species 20,000 light years away. The time it take to get here or to get there, they might already be dead. They nuke themselves out of oblivion. You know what I mean?
Unless they're using black holes and stuff that we don't have the technology or understanding. Because the idea is, like physicists have said, that black holes could possibly be quick doorways to other dimensions or other galaxies that we're unaware of.
Could possibly.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of things. Like you can have the idea that it could be possible, but whether or not in practice it's a.
Yeah, well, we don't have the technology to send anything in practice, right? Like, because we don't know if we'd get it back, like if they sent it into a black hole or something like.
Well, I guess like part of what I was saying is like, even getting to the point where you can go into space, I think is very rare. And then to last longer than that, I think is probably even more rare. So what I'm saying is I don't really know, but I think it's very rare for any like species on any planet to grow to that point, that level of technology. And then once they get to that point, why are they here? You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's why they don't do anything to us, though. Like when they do come, I think it's because they know we're amoebas to them. Do you know what I mean? They're so advanced that we're like this amoeba that is growing but at a snail's pace compared to them.
Yeah. I mean,
if they exist, right? If they exist,
right? Because
I mean, some people are like, well, because I don't think we should be fearful of them, in my opinion, because obviously if they have the technology to come here, they have the technology to destroy us. Like if they really wanted to harm us, they would.
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, there's not, and that's true.
That's why Independence Day is such a stupid movie.
Yeah.
Let me just plug this MacBook into their computer, into their spaceship, and install a virus. So, but don't get me wrong, I would love to. I always like science fiction, so I would love to, like, with my own eyes or whatever, believe that it exists. But I'm pretty skeptical in general. So.
Well, I'm going to tell you something crazy. I haven't really, I told Jake I was joking around another comic, but I haven't told many people about this documentary I watched, and it's called Sir No Face or whatever, or The Two Grays or something. Oh, God. See, now I'm just saying the wrong thing. Anyway, it's about these paranormal people who they did a documentary, and the documentary initially was about witnessing ghosts and stuff, and they were trying to film it and document it, right? And the Australian government actually let them onto this facility to record there that they haven't. Yeah. And then there was a lot of weird things that happened, and then they removed them. Well, when reviewing the footage, they caught something, but it looked so real-like that they had to analyze it over and over because it didn't look like a human ghost or anything. It looked alien. Then they did a second documentary where they actually started looking into this because they had some followers who said where they were at, normally the Australian government doesn't let people go there. And I'm going to find this actual documentary's name because I just want to make sure I tell you the right name. Oh my God, of course, never mind. I just see Tim Dillon saying genocide something. I don't know. I'll have to find it. But yeah, and so they basically go there. The whole idea is basically they are proving there's a connection between the U.S. government, the Australian government, and possibly them biologically farming, like creating aliens And
See,
hold on, it gets
yeah,
it's pretty crazy because they show footage of stuff that you go, what? Like, what am I really looking at?
Yeah.
But they bring experts in. But anyway, go ahead.
I mean, I believe that the American and Australian governments are in cahoots in like, black ops kinds of ways.
Right.
But I would lean towards this more mundane than something like that. But again, I don't really know.
Well, they believe that the agenda basically is to plant gray aliens just to make them kind of come out, instill fear in the public. So when the actual aliens come, we try to. They're going to use us to basically implement like bills and structures to get more black ops money, things like that, and to instill fear when really the aliens aren't here to bother us, like they claim. So even these people who've been supposedly taken, they believe it's all been black ops, like where the government has created a false memory of some sort that it was an alien abduction when really it possibly could be us really just taking you. I would assume that would fit more in the scale with some people who don't believe in aliens. But I mean, I do believe there's something weird going on. I just don't know what it is exactly. I don't know. Yeah. I've read a lot. I look at stuff. I saw my own UFO when I was a kid. And I will tell you, when you see one, it's different. Like it's weird. Like, something's different. And I was in the mountains in North Carolina, like in pitch blackness. Like there's something eerie about it. So
I never have myself, but I'm not saying never. It won't ever happen. I think I did mention to you previously that I went to a UFO convention with my friend in Michigan, and we like in our heads, like you imagine like a convention like a big convention floor, with all the booths set up,
right?
But it was like 10 booths. It was pretty sad. But we went to like the speakers, the actual convention itself, where they were having speakers. And there's this one guy that I always remember who spent 45 minutes talking about his experiences with gray aliens, who just so happened to always visit him when he's having like a life trauma,
right.
Oh, my wife broke up with me. And then that's when they visited me in my attic,
Huh.
Or, it was always like a girlfriend left him, and then he would start like ranting about that girlfriend for 10 minutes. And then it's just something about that was like, in other words, you had a psychotic break. And now you're speaking from this audience of like your experiences, but I'm not saying that's what they all are. I'm just saying this guy specifically stood out to me as like, I think you might just have mental problems.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but then that would be like a form of schizophrenia too, right? Like if you're like having these hallucinations or I mean, because that's what they would diagnose him with. But I believe there's probably a lot more people who keep their experiences to themselves because they don't want to be like. There was a situation me and you spoke about one time. You said, but Vanessa, wouldn't you hide that if you didn't? And I was like, that's a good point. Like we were talking about mental health facilities, and when I don't want to be specific because we were talking about something and someone. So, and you go, wouldn't you do that? And I was like, that's a good point.
I remember.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, you're right. And you're like, that's how we're not insane. Like to keep it to yourself because it sounds bad.
Right.
Yeah. But there's something. So, but by the way, I got the name of the documentary. It's called Two-Face the Gray.
Okay. Two-Face the Gray.
Two-Face the Gray. I don't claim it's real. It's interesting. I just look at some of this stuff because also it's entertaining. I mean, it's kind of fun to me. I've had my paranormal experiences. Like, you don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. Do you believe in an afterlife of some sort, or you just believe like our energy just gets expelled and we're done?
Well, I don't really know, but I think it's like heaven and hell. No, I think that's bullshit. I think you die and you go back to the grand source, whatever you want to say,
right?
Infinity, whatever. I guess I would say that the closest I got to death was having taken MDMA, and right before the come down, I smoked a dab of THC.
Wow. And
then inhaled a balloon of nitrous oxide gas, and where I went, I think, was death, and it was pretty good.
I was going to tell you,
pretty good.
I took 10, in my day we called them beans, but ecstasy pills or Molly, whatever you kids call them these days, to the face. I drank, I think I smoked a bunch of weed, and I was in an electric chair that like you could hit a button and it would move.
Yeah.
Well, I was moving, but I wasn't hitting the button, and I was like, who's fucking with this chair? Turns out, guys, I was just sliding out of the chair onto the floor because I was so fucked up. And then, I too thought I was going to die. I was pulled into a hole. And ketamine trips, I guess it would be like a K-hole or something like that. But
full dissociation.
Yeah, and my friend, like, she put her hand on my leg, and I went whoop, right back into my body. Yeah. I remember that. That was pretty...
Yeah, whatever. I was just like pure euphoria, which in my head, I guess, was basically that, that's what happens when you die.
Let's hope, right?
Hopefully it's that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't ascribe any kind of like, organized religion to it.
Or anything.
It's like, for me, it's like the trope of like, I think Buddhism sounds the most accurate,
Okay, but you've looked into other religions and like gotten a viewpoint.
Oh, sure.
Because like Zach, he was on the podcast last, and no, he doesn't even bother, Yeah.
No,
I'm kidding. He's also listening right now, guys, so that's me just trying to pick on him. But I noticed, though, I think the more you expand out, like, and you learn about other stuff, like, you don't necessarily have to be, what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Atheist or whatever, but you start realizing, like, maybe there's something there. I just don't know what the heck that is or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I used to consider myself an atheist, and I still do. I don't really talk about it very much. I'm not a militant atheist.
Right.
I guess more on the agnostic side or whatever, but I try to stay grounded as best I can.
Well, listen, I've had personal paranormal experiences. I used to have my atheist friends were like, prove it to me. I'm like, what? You asked me a question. I'm just telling, like, I'm not trying to prove anything, like, because I know how crazy it sounds.
Yeah.
And believe me, I try to go through all the methods of deducing something in reality versus something I can't explain that I've experienced. But I also know I wasn't having a psychotic break. Like, I've heard voices, like, there's things, like, I've heard people talk to me, and that's scary as hell. Like, especially when you're not a crazy person and you go, oh shit, like, who or what is that? And, things, those kind of experiences.
I definitely have experienced like auditory hallucinations on like, LSD before.
See, I've taken a bunch of acid and I never have. So that's what's crazy to me. Like, I've seen shit, but I've never randomly heard stuff.
That's the stuff that makes me the most uncomfortable is like auditory hallucinations, like visual stuff. I'm a visual person, so like that's kind of pleasant to me, but like hearing something that I know is not there is very discombobulating. It makes me uncomfortable.
So, like, what did you hear during those trips, though? Like, was it anything, like, because usually to me, there's only a few words I can hear. It's not like it's sentences, It's
no, I can't really remember. It wasn't anything, like, grand in scope. Just, like, some kind of voice that, within the headspace of discombobulation. I don't know how to describe it,
Like ambient
reverb,
sound almost, an ambient sound of someone talking, like,
or something distant,
right?
That feels like it's getting closer or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, that happened to me, but I wasn't on acid. But I was practicing mindfulness, and I would meditate a lot, and I was, I would clear my chakras. Like, I was pretty open, I guess you could say, or whatever the occult would say as open person, and I do believe, like. And you guys don't have to agree. I know this can sound crazy to some people. I do believe we have spirit guides. I do believe we are watched. And I'm saying individually, we are assigned people, like assigned things. And I know how crazy that sounds. But one day I was basically watching my dad push my daughter on a swing in Boca. And I thought I heard somebody say my name, right? Like somebody calling from a ways. And mind you, my stepmom and my stepmom's future daughter-in-law were inside a building having a bridal shower. I'm not good with those things. Anyway, and I thought maybe someone was calling for me. So I turn, I look, nobody, right? So I was like, maybe it was the wind. Maybe I misheard it.
Yeah.
Then I hear it again, but this time it's louder, right? And then I look, again, nothing. And then the next time I heard it, it was right next to my ear. Like they ran up and yelled, and they're like, Vanessa! Like that, like so loud. And I jumped like this, and my dad saw me, and he was just like, what happened? I didn't want to, he was pushing my daughter. I was like, I'll tell you later. Because my dad has had paranormal experiences too in his life. But, that's just me. Our family supposedly has something in it. That's what they always say on the German side,
Yeah.
Bunch of gypsies. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I've never experienced that necessarily, but I mean, I've heard like you feel like you hear your mom calling to you.
I would.
Even though I haven't lived with my mom.
Right.
For,
I wouldn't listen to any of those voices.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't.
Anybody who's imitating your mother, fuck that.
But it's just like you hear your mom at the bottom of the stairs when you're a kid. It makes sense to me that sometimes you might hear it again. It's like an echo from the past, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was talking about that with Dean and Zach. I had another paranormal thing. Is like that's what it was, like an imprint. Like I think I thought I saw something that the energy must have imprinted on the land. Like I don't believe I saw ghosts. Like I don't believe like what I saw was, but I saw some activity that I thought they were solid, like me and you, and I think I just must have seen some imprint of energy on it.
Yeah, I mean. The brain's very complex. It's like I'm just thinking right now of like dreams that recur, where you go to a place in a dream that you only remember when you're back at that place in the dream again. You know what I mean?
Yes, I've had those too.
So like
Well, they have theories with that too, right? They think like if you dream of this one house, the house is actually a representation of you.
Yeah.
And like you're trying to work on things in the house or whatever, you're trying to work on yourself.
I have lots of dreams where I'm like. At different houses I've lived at throughout my entire life. And they're always like kind of maze-like and occasionally connect to other houses.
Yes.
Where I'll be wandering through the hallways.
Yeah, that's your brain. That's crazy, right? Like that's, like I had a friend, she would suffer from PTSD. She had severe issues. And I remember telling her about this. She's like, I constantly am fighting some dude off.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why don't you turn around and confront the dude? Like she's always running from the dude. And she would have terrifying nightmares. And she believed the guy was real. Like she thought this evil thing was like almost real of some sort.
Right.
And I said, well, why don't you try to confront it or whatever? And so she finally did. And her PTSD went away. Like she said it was me. Like she fought off this person who looked like her though. Like it was weird when she confronted it.
I see.
Because I told her, I said, maybe it's just you. Like, maybe you're just running from yourself kind of stuff. Like, because it can happen that way. And so it worked for her. She stopped having to take Prozac and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I can't do antidepressants. I've tried 6 of them. And all I noticed is side effects. And I've even talked about this with my therapist before. And she agrees with me, like, that like the efficacy of SSRIs are basically not above placebo.
Right.
So like if all you're getting is side effects, why even bother taking them?
Right. Exactly. Well, so like last night I was telling Jamar when we were hanging out, I was like, maybe I need to get back because I recently stopped taking my Zoloft or whatever. I feel like I'm in a better headspace. I just, there's certain things I feel better about. And so I'm, I don't feel like slitting my wrist like I did a year ago. You know what I mean? So
that's good.
Yeah. So I stopped taking it and I've been fine. And then last night I was like, maybe it's too soon, man. I was like getting emotional. I was like, Did you wean off them or you did cold turkey? I did cold turkey, yes. Did you experience brain zaps? So here's the thing. I wasn't very good at taking it all the time anyways. So technically I probably weaned myself off just by missing days here in life. Okay. But I didn't, not initially when I first did that, yes. But I didn't have as many, like Chance has had those before. I've seen people When I went off Zoloft cold turkey, I had brain zaps. Yeah, I don't have it. Like I don't have anything really, but all of this to say though, but then I woke up today and got my period. So I'm probably just fine. I was just probably hormonal. Oh yeah. I don't. So I'm probably just not going to. I don't have any personal experience with that. Yeah. That's the thing that sucks for women, right? Cuz with my period, I get so depressed. Like it's so bad and then but I mean, honestly, even though I was sad last night, it wasn't like a sad. I was like, I didn't get overkill. And now I realize, it was just my period. I was afraid though I'd get to the old sad me, which is, slit wrist sad. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't want to go there is what Zoloft helped me with that. I never got to physical harm, fortunately. It's always just like intense, like self-loathing and paralysis, essentially, like, not leaving the house, that kind of stuff. Oh, I still go through that then. But yeah. I mean, I'm at a point where if you're not at least sometimes depressed, I don't trust you. Right. I feel like my depression is an accurate observation of the environment that I live within, including the fact that antidepressants exist in such high numbers and they're advertised on TV, Right. It's like a bouncing ball logo for Zoloft. That's a character, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, I mean, I also suffer from ADHD, and like the nurse I was going to see, the psychiatric nurse, like she kept trying to put me on all this other stuff except what works, which is probably Adderall. I've used Adderall before, and I'll tell you what, I'm so productive. Like I'm so organized, and I just stop hating myself because I can get through shit.
Yeah, I also have ADHD, and I've been on stimulants before, and they definitely help, but I can't take them every day.
Right.
And there's definitely a come down because, like, frankly, there's a euphoria to those drugs. So I have to be careful. I haven't been on them in a few years. I lost my insurance, so the psychiatrist I was going to kind of stopped giving me them. I just never bothered getting back on them.
Right.
I prefer not to be on them. I think stimulants are kind of dangerous long term. I'm not, judging you or
no,
anything.
I'm not on any. I mean, she wouldn't give it to me. Like, the thing is, she gave me all these other drugs that were off label for things, and I was having horrible side effects. And I talked to my actual therapist who's known me for a few years, and I'm like, listen, like, it's not that I want the Adderall, I want something to work. And she just keeps telling me, I was like, I already have a tough time taking one pill a day, and you're telling me to take this 3 times a day, and it's lower blood pressure. And by the way, I have abnormally low blood pressure to begin with. And I told her that, and she still would give me this low blood pressure medication. Right. All I would do is want to sleep. Yeah. So I was like, what is the point? The whole point is to be productive, and yet here I am just wanting to sleep.
In the same way,
how's that?
In the same way, there is now Mind Bloom. There are also like online ADHD pill mills.
Oh, okay.
They're all legitimate.
Right.
And that it's legal, but if you want to get back into them.
No, I guess. Hey, Mind Bloom, I'm coming for you. Also because I want to end my depression permanently, because it still comes. I still deal with it. I still have my self-loathing and self-esteem issues. Like, I think
helps. I mean, not for everyone. Personally, it helps for me, but I think part of that is like literally just the trip, essentially.
So we're almost done here. I don't know if you needed, if you're going to put on your camera or do anything and want to promote yourself.
Oh, I was wondering, I wanted to end on my bit, essentially.
Yeah,
set up my camera.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, we can keep talking while I get set up.
Oh, yeah, you keep doing that. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten, I think I ate an Alfredo pizza at 3 this morning, and that's all.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to eat smaller meals throughout the day right now, so I'm keeping myself going pretty well.
It was my fault. I was late leaving the house. I planned on getting a meal before I came here, and because I know I just work better. I'm also anemic, so I need to be eating, and my dumbass, my dumbass didn't. But I ate the pizza I ate last night, though. I actually made that pizza for my daughter, so kind of felt bad though. I thought this morning because I was like, oh, maybe she was gonna eat it for lunch, and I just ate all of it. So.
Should I just do the bit directly or alter it for now?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, well, this is basically what I do on stage, which is I tell the audience, I've been told that people who don't know me and see me on stage for the first time assume that I'm playing a character, but I'm not. This is exactly who I am. And who I am as a person, I always have an underlying depression. I do not have a chemical imbalance. I'm talking to you, pharmaceutical industry. This can't be fixed with a pill. I've tried 6. I will always have underlying depression because I accurately observe the world as it exists around me. And I say all of that to let you know that my life is a television series. And really, everyone in this room's life is a television series. Are you online? Do you post? Your life is a television series. Each new story, a new episode. Do you own a Ring from Amazon home surveillance system? Your life is a multicam sitcom. Do you exit your house, entering the public sphere, thereby exposing yourself to dozens and hundreds of cameras? If you murder someone, your life will become a 6-episode Netflix true crime documentary series. The only difference between my show and yours is that I am much more direct about it. And then at this point, I walk into the audience. I like to have the cell phone, camera 1, on a tripod.
Right.
So when I'm doing that, I'm unfurling a tripod, playing to the audience, and I say, this is camera 1. I don't know if you're aware, but merely by declaring your life a TV series, and of course, living in this 21st century cyberpunk dystopia, it does become one. This is camera 2. Oh shit! I forgot my next line. It happens.
You do the talking
Yeah.
to this one time.
Yeah, I'll bring out my business card, where I've helpfully printed out the entire speech. There it is. Season 3 of my show, Also My Life, is actually not currently in production. The business card's outdated. I just uploaded my season finale. But, new episodes do air and definitely on YouTube. So, I also have my body cam. This is camera 4. This was my favorite camera until I got my camera 6. But this is good for first person view angle. So it's I got pulled over by a cop a few days ago because my light's out, and I just kept staring at his body cam, Because now there's YouTube channels where they just post footage from police officers' body cams, like cops, but even worse.
Right.
And then this is a camera 6. This is my 360 camera. This is both my favorite and the most horrific camera that I own, because it records everything. Every single angle has 2 fisheye lens. And the best part about it is that, when you shoot the video and you edit it in post-production, you can edit the angle. You can rotate the camera.
Interesting.
You can even put yourself on top of a globe.
Cool.
Walk on the planet essentially. Also, this is camera 5. This is a drone. That's really fun to unfurl and launch in an actual bar. Can you hold this camera for me?
Yeah, sure.
My latest purchase is the extended invisible selfie stick. It edits out the selfie stick using the algorithm, so it looks like you're not holding anything. But this one, it's so long. It really underlines the absurdity. I was walking around in my backyard 2 days ago, holding this up, taking my dog outside, and also I had in the sky a drone. So I had 2 camera angles from above. And then my neighbor called out to me, "Hey, is that a drone? Hey, can you look at my chimney for me? I think it's dirty." And I realized he just saw this crazy person in their backyard walking around with this giant stick. That must be your drone, So yeah, this is my collection of cameras.
I love it, Ted.
So yeah, season 3 is done, and I'm in hiatus for a few months.
Okay, but look, where do they go? YouTube?
Oh yeah, sorry. Go to www.myshowalsomylife.com. That's myshowalsomylife.com. You can also find me on Instagram. You can either search for Ted Brown, or my handle is Lorem Ipsumerian. And I have more shows as well. I'm working on building an entire network. My second show is called The Observer Effect, where I edit together old American media to kind of underline the point that I'm making. Yeah. And I'm working on the third show, which is my version of video listicles. And the pilot episode will be top 5 open mics in Jacksonville. And ostensibly it's about highlighting the open mics, but of course it's all about me.
Right.
And I'll rank them based on how well I do in each mic. And then I'll post it, and it'll have the same image of something like that.
Right.
Story face essentially.
You guys tune in to Ted. I'm telling you, his videos are hilarious. They're not very long either. If you're one of those weird people,
well, the episodes themselves are either between 20 and 45 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that's too long. I'm saying though, if you just go to his Instagram, you'll see the clips, and then you're gonna want to go and look at the show itself. Yeah,
part of the show is uploading the clips in real time essentially, and hoping that it entices you enough to want to see the entire episode.
So when you go to my show, mylife.com, right? Can you subscribe there, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's my YouTube channel.
Oh, it is. Okay, so subscribe to him so Ted can get.
Please do, because
get some monetary stuff going on.
Well, no, I use music that I actually listen to, so I can't monetize them.
Oh, dang it.
I don't really care about that though, so.
Well, I know, but it's always nice.
Maybe eventually I'll have a Patreon or something.
But this is, I'm just talking about your bit. I'm making this.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, this is all about making it so I don't have to work.
Right.
By commenting on it.
Promote.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks, guys, for listening in to Los Rotos or watching. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've just listened to the Los Rotos Podcast. Produced by Upside Down Creative Media.